The question is, are you limping along or are you proactively changing your life? And that's what today's about. Is I want to walk you through 3 of my members' journeys from changing their lives. And I want to be very, very clear. While they're all a part of my coaching program, each one of them did the work. Like, it is less about me and it is more about them. And I'm hoping that you can see something in yourself in each one of the 3 of their stories and relate to it and start yourself down a path to change. So I'm going to introduce you to 3 of my members, all with very different stories, yet similar because they're restaurant owners. They're all in family businesses at different levels, from being at the top to growing up in it and so on and so forth. And it doesn't matter how successful you are. Success doesn't matter if you don't have time with family. Success doesn't matter if you don't have a life outside of the restaurant. And that's what I want to truly understand. Loving the business, because nobody got into the restaurant business thinking, I want to be a prisoner. I can't wait to open a restaurant and suck up my life and work 7 days a week and have all these text messages and phone calls, and I can't do anything I want to do. Nobody, when you went into business thinking, man, I could better me and my family. I could make money. I can go down this journey and have great hospitality, create pretty food that tastes good, and create memories and give jobs to the community. And like, we had all these romantic ideas, yet the real world came in and smacks you dead in the face, and you go, holy shit, I can't even leave. Nobody can do the job. Everyone this, that, the other. And all of a sudden, these challenges stop you dead in your tracks. Well, I'm here to tell you, with these 3 gentlemen that I've invited to talk to us today, things can be different. And that's what we're going to talk about. Again, how do we get you to a point where you can transform yourself into a true restaurant owner? So I'm going to start off with Brian. Do me a favor, give us a quick snapshot of your restaurant experience and your restaurant, what it is, and how you became an owner in it.
Well, let's see. My restaurant experience, I started restaurants in high school, and pretty much but got bitten by the bug, was in and out of restaurants, did a lot of several other things in between when I got into my 20s and 30s. Police work, manufacturing, and all that kind of stuff. Eventually back into the hospitality business part of it in a resort, ran a full service in a resort town. And then we left that, did some ministry for a little while. And then 10 years ago, I walked into this place as a quick serve restaurant that was a new franchising opportunity. Walked in as an employee, really didn't, to be quite honest with you, did not want to be there. I was looking for another avenue of income and wanted to get into a different line of work. But I dove in, did what I did, started taking care of customers. It was in a very bad spot, not the restaurant, but financially, it was in financial straits, and the partners there asked me to step up and if I would manage it and take it on. So I did that with just basically with what I know to do, and just began taking care of the customers, cleaning the restaurant, and all of the stuff. And in the end, that time we weren't. We probably should have closed it. I think if anybody would have looked at it, we probably should have closed it. But they stuck it out. I stuck it out, and we've turned it around. And so I literally did everything. When I first stepped in there, from janitorial to maintenance to all of it. So, and that's what you're talking about is really, I mean, one thing leads to another. Each day was something different.
And how long ago did you end up buying out one of the partners who were brothers?
They gave me partnership within 3 years. They gave me 10% shares. After that, about 2 years after that, I became the majority partner, bought one of the other partners out. So within 5 years, so over the past 5 years, I have been the majority partner and the majority owner in Blue Coast Burrito.
Let me introduce you now to Avery Ward. Avery, talk a little bit about how you got into the business and, kind of weaseled your way back in. And I joke with you because you came back to really help turn things around.
I grew up in the restaurant. The first place from the hospital was the restaurant. And, it was plopped on the table for all the employees and customers to come over and see the newborn child, right? And so Growing up there every day after school, all summers working in the kitchen, my dad's golden rule was, if you can't work faster than my 5-year-old kid making pizzas, you can't work here. And so, that's where my experience came in the business, is just growing up in it. When I turned 16, I ended up leaving and going on my own little stint. I worked for Apple retail for about 5.5 years, and then came back when I was 22, and kind of, my dad was going through really hard medical problems. He had a lot of brain issues and had surgeries. And so it was kind of a necessity for my family to come back at that point, because our family business was on very large financial ruins. He had people that he trusted to run it that weren't running it correctly. And so it was kind of a decision for me to either go back and kind of save what I grew up in, what has been generations in my family, or continue doing my own thing. And at the time, it was just kind of, it worked out because I wasn't quite happy with my corporate job. Although I loved what I did, I loved the company I worked for. It was becoming mundane. I knew I wanted something better for myself. And so it kind of worked out. Coming back, just came back as a standard manager. At the time, he had 3 other managers there, and kind of learned operations from my dad, of his golden rule, and that is, get to know your customers, get to know a little bit about them, and you'll be successful no matter what you do and how much you fuck up. You can screw up their entire day, and as long as you greeted them the right way for the first time and remembered something about them, everything will be fine. And so took those core values and principles that he taught, and growing up in the business, as well as what my grandma taught living right next door, and applied them to my day in, day out, learning that we didn't have any kind of recipes in place, and staff was making them to taste every time they made a vat of pizza sauce. They would taste it and it would never be the exact same. And even my dad, he would come in and make things and it would never be the same. And so I started out there just getting the basis of the operations down, and kind of getting what I now know are systems in place, without really knowing that's what it was. And continued to see growth. Our first year of me being back, we were up 70%. The second year, we were up 120 from that. During COVID, the third year I was back, we were up 200% compared to the year prior. 2021, we were up 80% compared to 2020. And it's just been growth. And so, turned it into a multi-million-dollar business that it is now. And we're in a 2,000 square foot building. And I got to a point in my career where I said, okay, I knew when I came back, I wanted to grow the business, not only the one, but I wanted to have a second location. And I went forward with the path of purchasing a place that I thought was going to be a great second venture. Got to the dotted line to sit down in the lawyer's office with the lady I was purchasing it from. And she said, I can't do this. And at the time it was a huge blow. But looking back, if I would have done that, and if she would have been okay with it, I would have failed miserably, because I did not, although I thought I had my stuff together, I was the prisoner definition of being a prisoner in the place. And every day that I did go to work, I was pulled in a million directions. I've always said this, but I felt like the night at the museum where Ben Stiller, they want to, the Till of the Hun want to rip his arms off. And that's what I felt like, is every day getting pulled in a million directions by my entire staff. And, ended up started watching YouTube videos from you, and heard the video about hearing the taking the one day off, and they say, hey, Avery, where's the plunger on my day off? And it was like, God damn it. And so that's what led me to joining your program. And quite truly, I always say that you've changed my life, but you say I've done the work. And right. While I have done the work, it took that person to lead me in that direction. You can't make the horse drink the water, but you definitely led me to it. And that really has truly changed my life. And here I am, on a 14-day vacation, and the last day of it, and have not had, it's been amazing.
Ryan, talk a little bit about how you and Neely got into the restaurant biz, and the fateful, hey, we should buy this place.
So my wife and I, we went to high school together. We were both chefs. We were both family trained chefs. I come from an Italian background. We never bought bread. We always made it. There was a bread drawer in my grandmother's house. We grew our own tomatoes. I learned a lot of classic culinary techniques, similar with my wife. She's from Union City, Tennessee. So some really Southern traditions that she developed. We were both in our corporate lives and decided that it was a great idea to buy a restaurant in Ocean City, Maryland, just because I went to college here and I came down here for my beach week. So we decided to move our family down here, buy a restaurant from some friends of ours, and had no idea what we were doing. We just know we could cook and we like to make pretty food taste good. So that's what we went with. And so we started to grow the business, but we did everything ourselves. Growing the business became pretty successful. But again, doing everything, 14-hour days. I remember I worked, when we bought the restaurant, I worked 382 days straight without a day off. And that was at least 12-hour days. And told myself, if I can do that, I can do anything. We wanted to scale. We were ready to scale. We found a second location. We purchased the building, went millions of dollars in debt 2 weeks before COVID hit. COVID shut us down. We had a new location, couldn't open it for a calendar year because of the COVID restrictions in Maryland. It just didn't make sense to open it up. So that's when we found you. And we said, okay, we need to get back on the horse here. COVID is going to be over. We need to get organized and we need to scale our second location and we need to not be prisoners to our business. During that process, actually, if I could rewind just a bit, right before that process, my wife one day had enough. She was spread too thin. She was trying to do a big catering, also trying to set up the line for a lunch service. The lunch cook was late, the manager was late, and she had enough. She said, I'm done, I quit. I'm not working in the restaurant anymore. So I had a big decision to make. I had to keep a happy wife and a happy life at the same time, while still not letting our business go under. And it turned out she didn't really quit. She just didn't want to be in operations anymore. She wanted to work strategically. She wanted to work in marketing. She has a background in graphic design and video editing. And she wanted to do she wanted to follow her passion, which was, doing things to that avenue. So we started looking for options where she could stay at home and I could run the restaurant, but not have to be here all the time and watch our kids grow up. At this point, our oldest son was about 10, 11 years old. And I started to realize I was missing things. And I mean, somebody in our group said that you can't get those back, right? You don't get those moments back. You don't get that time back. So you have to take advantage of it. So we found you. We found David and, we followed the systems. We put in the work, and here we are. So now we have both of our restaurants functioning at a high level. This is probably the busiest week of our year that I'm talking to you now. The first week of August, there's a huge fishing tournament in town called the White Marlin Open. Michael Jordan fishes in it. I mean, there's just a bazillion huge $1 million yachts going out on this big fishing trip. The top prize is 7 figures. It is unbelievable. On a 9.2-mile barrier island in the Atlantic Ocean, we have over 500,000 people here. But yet I have the time to talk to you guys, right? And that's because of you, David. And it's because of the system and the work. Our second location is doing great. We just substantially beat our July budget numbers and sales. And, I'm excited to figure out how we did, look at labor, look at prime costs and really see if the rubber meets the road. And we couldn't be happier. I surf every morning, like David said. I'm home every night to put my kids to bed.
I appreciate that. And I hope everybody can identify with each of these three gentlemen in their journey, because odds are your journey is going to be very similar at some level between one of them. With that said, I just do want to harp on one thing that Ryan brought up in one of our group coaching calls. The big takeaway when we start putting this together, and when I start saying having a life and being able to do things, is one of our members said, you don't get a second chance to do things. You don't get a second chance for your daughter's quinceañera. So that's going to bring me back to kind of, Brian, do me a favor, describe a little bit about what was life like when we were first met for you as an operator. What did you think your job was?
My job was to work reactively, right? To figure out what is going wrong, what went wrong, what will go wrong, and just chase it around and try and fix it, right? And then I would do that until peak volume times. And then at peak volume times, I would jump into a position. We do Tex-Mex. So I would jump into the grill and do all the fajitas, right? Or I would jump in the taco station because the taco station just gets destroyed, right? We bake our own tortillas from scratch. We have a really good reputation of fresh food. So a lot of people, tourists, margaritas, tacos. I mean, that's what happens here. So we would, they would always need extra set of hands, or I'd have to jump in expo. I would just be reacting. Okay, where's the problem now? I would be fire chasing, right? And I, after talking to you, I took a step back and said, I need to zoom out here a little bit, and I need to anticipate these problems and fix them by not doing the action items to fix it, by putting systems in place so that the problems fix themselves, or putting an implementer in place who knows that that problem will come in, and then he fixes it for me and then gives me an after action report. So that's where I was. I was just chasing my tail, and I knew that it wasn't sustainable.
Avery, same question for you, and Brian, you'll be next. But Avery, what was life like before you sit there and said, okay, I need to change my role as a restaurant owner? What was your day-to-day like?
Friday nights were definitely, I mean, we were doing, at the time, right before this program, we were doing 6,000 on Fridays, and we thought we were just the kitten's ass. We thought we were just doing so much, and I just didn't imagine we could ever do more. And right now we're doing close to 17 on Fridays. So it's like, it's crazy just 9 months later, the difference in sales, but that has come because I've been able to pull myself back and focus more on what can be done to grow versus just being in the mud of helping. It was interesting because last week, and I actually thought about this because Fridays was my day on the oven. I thought about this because I had 2 kids that have been with me less than 4 months. They were running the ovens by themselves on a Friday night. And I'm like, wow, I used to do that with one of my most experienced guys. And here are the two most influential people in the restaurant. They're running a station, and now I've got brand new kids that are doing it. And it blew my mind the other couple Fridays ago. But yeah, that's what my life was like. And definitely the missing things, so many family functions that just became, through my childhood, were always missed. My dad was never there because he was in the restaurant. It was just this thing of everybody kind of planned our lives around the restaurant of, oh no, we can't make plans on Friday, Saturday nights, not happening. Like, can we do it on a Monday night? And so that was definitely a thing growing up. Only one vacation my entire childhood, and I knew, which is what really led me to this program, I knew that I didn't want to make the same mistake when I do start a family to raise my kids the way that I was raised. I had a great childhood, don't get me wrong, but missing, key moments like that, like Ryan said, or not being able to leave your place because you're a prisoner to it, or you have to decide to not make income this week and close down and let's everybody take a vacation because they can't run it without you. I knew there had to be something else and stuff.
But even before you truly started, a new family, just in your relationships, everything suffers. Everything suffers when you can't get away. I mean, that's a true statement for you, though. Absolutely, right?
100%. Yeah, Tiffany's family all the time. Weekends. That's when they plan things, and it's like, oh, Avery can't come. Sorry. And so that has been a big thing since the program of being able to participate in those things. It's definitely not only that has made my life better, but just being able to be more involved in everything and not being so focused. They need me. I've got a very solid crew in place now that they handle everything, and they just report back to me. They don't even report back to me really. They report down on a log, and I go check it, and then I report back to them if I need them. But it's been amazing.
That's awesome. All right, Brian Mueller, you started as a manager, bought out a partner, and when we first met, talk about your role. I mean, these guys as owners were really being their managers. You were the general manager and kind of stayed in that role. So talk about what your life was like and what your role was before you truly became an owner, understanding what your role was supposed to be.
I was working different, of course, working all the time. So I had a hodgepodge of things like checklist and shelf to sheet. And I was doing, I had certain things that I had in my head that I was putting into place, but I never really had those to where anybody else could do them. I was doing them all. And so even though I had the list to do something, it still wasn't getting done. So I was yelling because it wasn't getting done, or just it checked. They just didn't pay attention to it, and probably because they knew that I would do it anyway. And so I would come in behind them and do it anyway. So they're like, "Oh, that's okay." I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it was ever said, but I'm pretty sure it was thought. It was like, "Oh, Brown will get it taken care of. He'll clean the mess up, or he'll go in the walk-in. He'll get it all straight." And I'm sure that was it, and I'm sure that's exactly what I was doing, because at that time, my mindset was nobody else could do it like me, and didn't do it the way that I wanted it done. And even though we were trying to show them that, it was like, yeah, it's still not the way I would do it, or not how I want it done, or whatever. And so I spent a lot of time in that mindset and focusing on what they did wrong instead of focusing on what they did right. And it was just hell. I was hell to be with. I mean, nobody was like, "Oh shit, here comes Brian," and I really didn't. The culture in the place was, we were having turnover. We were having things happen. And even though I was trying to do things differently, it still wasn't working. But I was literally doing everything. We weren't focusing on growing the business. I mean, we were just, fortunately, because I'm kind of like Avery, I was in the one position. I was the guy that worked the steamers when they came in and they started their orders. I was the guy that greeted them. And that's where I had to be every time during the peak times.
What was the shift for you to go, "I'm doing this incorrectly. My role has to change," and that you bought into what I was preaching?
And really the shift for me after that is when I got into the program and realized and was able to see the stages, and to take things at a time instead of being so overwhelmed with everything that had to be done. It's just, you were able to help me pull back, take a look at, let's do this week. Let's get this done, and then we'll move forward. You met me wherever I was at, David. And
so the big change was really not when we were doing one-on-one. It was when you got into the group program, when we said, "This is all you got to worry about this week, and this is what you got to worry about next week," and so on. Even though you'd been exposed, you were still trying to do everything yourself, right?
Correct. And still, and coming to realize that I didn't have all the answers, but in the totality of it all is being around other people with the same mindset, with the same encouragement, with the same issues, really opened my eyes to allow me to see, okay, I'm not the only one that's having problems. I don't have to, it's not just me. So, but we can change.
So a part of it is not only having the systems and the lessons, but it's the camaraderie and the support of other restaurant owners and their implementers. That, just so we're clear, that you, as an owner, you cannot do this alone.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I still found myself 2 months in the program going to work the same schedule, Thursday through Sunday. I did have 3 days off, which I know is kind of rare for some restaurant owners. But Thursday through Sunday, open to close every day. So, about 52 hours a week. And I'd get off at 10 o'clock, drive home 30 minutes away, and I'd stay up till 3 a.m. and then go to sleep at 3, and then wake up at 7 and do it all again. And my time of getting home from 10 to 3 was actually working on the business. So doing my QuickBooks and working on the marketing things and all the things that I should have been doing during my day job, but I was too busy running a restaurant, running the kitchen, or working a station. And so, that was when I really started to take it more seriously of, okay, there is a change I need to make. So I found the right person, and that's when the program really took off. And he came in, and we had started having manager meetings prior to him coming, and that was a pivotal point alone of being able to help spread the information of, okay, here's what I learned. If you're not willing to learn it, here's what I learned. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how you do it. And that definitely helped getting the ball rolling. And then I brought that other source in who helped learn it, helped teach it, and helped make sure it was happening. And that's where it really just started rolling downhill faster than ever.
So what is life like for you now? Like, talk about, snapshot again, what it was like and what it is today, and what you're working on, because you're able to see so much more and work strategically on your business. Share a little of that journey.
My life has been able to transform into that leader of the business versus the doer. And so, I've got a management team of 4 right now, actually going to be 5 next week. We just hired our 5th one, and we're changing some roles up to have, for the new store, there'll be a GM, a kitchen manager, and a front of house manager. And so we're going to kind of change up some structure and move some people who are managers now, but really are just like shift kitchen leads kind of thing, into those type roles to try and change up our management structure to be more clean. So there's not too many, chiefs and Indians. Kind of the balance is still good. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. And, being able to have our weekly manager meetings every Friday, we sit down and we look at the Friday through Thursday before us and kind of talk about exactly what happened and what we're going to do moving forward to be able to take that, becoming the proactive side and knowing exactly where our numbers are and looking at our budget. And they go, hey, we need these new supplies. And I say, okay, well, you've got $500 left to spend. So you can either spend it or you can carry it over for next month and you can buy that $1,000 thing you want. You can't buy it right now. And being, strict and letting the numbers lead versus just being the writer and constantly writing the checks like you talk about. And, getting them the information. I always was scared to share financial information with managers. It was this kind of unknown thing of, should I do it? Are they going to think that I'm this filthy rich dude who just has all this money coming in and, oh my God, what are we doing? But getting them to really understand what the numbers mean and getting them to be kind of champions of it has really been life-changing in and of itself, because now they are able to kind of focus on things. Okay, my food costs, you want it here? All right, I'm going to do this, this, and this to get it here. And they kind of build plans for themselves with me to kind of get us both to that point. And, I think your system for bonuses is my next kind of thing to look into, because they're doing such a fantastic job. And I feel like I need to kind of reward them a little bit more for the work that they've done and the amazing things they've been able to accomplish. So that might be my next step. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
So how often do you go into the restaurant and work a shift?
0. I have not worked a shift since February 13th. I'll never forget the day. It was the day my life changed. I will not forget that day. It was the first ever Friday where we said, okay, you're off. I'm off the schedule. And that really was the pivotal point, I think, too. Not only finding the right person, but getting myself out of that role and realizing, okay, they can do it, was the time where my life really started to change, and being able to do everything we've done now. There's no way in hell I would have been able to build this location without, doing this. If I was still in there even one day a week, I don't think I'd be able to do it. And so, yeah, 0. I go in Fridays and do our weekly meeting for an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. And then I pop in 2-3 other days of the week for 45 minutes to 2 hours, depending on what's going on, and kind of look around and give my critiques and feedback and positive and negative of things that I see and things that I want to see changed. And they give me my quick rundown when I stop in, and then I meet with a couple of my line employees or, my servers, and I pull them out started taking people to lunch like you recommended, of just picking one person every week to take out to lunch. And I go to one of the other local restaurants and we sit there for an hour and a half and kind of get to know them, because it's that has been another part that has helped just feel more connected. Because there was a point where I stepped back and then I felt like, okay, like I feel like I'm disconnected and I don't know what's going on entirely. So that I caught myself sometimes like watching cameras and stuff. I'm like, okay, you got to stop doing that. I feel like my dad. So, so that has helped too, getting to know my staff more. And there was a point where, and there is right now, I've been on vacation this is my 14th day, and I don't know 6 of our new hires. I have yet to meet them. And so that's kind of been weird, of like, I've got managers in place who are hiring crew now and are doing the onboarding, and Tiffany's handling all the HR stuff. And I've never even talked to these people and they work for me. Like, that's been weird. And so, the lunch thing has helped that as well.
All right, Brian Mueller, how about you? What is life like for you now, as far as your day to day, from what it was to kind of where it is today? What does life look like for you now?
What is life? Oh man, it has been really good for me as far as just looking towards the future, as well as, excuse me, I was in the restaurant every day for 7 days a week. We came through COVID. We laid off all the staff. From there, of course, then as we opened back up, step into that. So I was still doing 7 days a week. After we started working into this program and putting in an implementer, she decided she was going to stay in the business. And so my daughters stepped into the manager's role. And my role there is not only as being her dad, but is to make sure that she has all the tools that she needs to learn to be an owner. And because she gets it, she really does. She's been in the business. She grew up in the business now. So, and I was very humbled that she decided to stay in the business and that she wants to continue in that. But my biggest goal right now is to make sure that she has everything that she needs. I don't work a shift. She does not schedule me on a shift. I think I'm going to have to work a little bit. I think when they're on vacation, when they go out of town, but it's really not going to be work. She's put together a team, and I'm kind of like Avery. I was like trying to figure out how I get to know all the people that she's hired and that she's bringing on. We're fully staffed. She's like, Dad, I really don't need to hire anybody else right now. And so, and they've got a training program working. They're training the trainers. They are, and I'm just really, I do not go into the restaurant. I'm working on right now is to learning to do the owner's checklist and go through that and be a part of that, give them their budgets, what they need. That's where I'm at right now, working on making sure that they have the budgets. You know, I talked last week, we're redoing our yearly budget right now to see. I didn't realize I was always food costs and labor, and I would just hammer. And well, we realized, well, we've got a problem elsewhere in our purchasing of paper. And so, I mean, I'm really working on focusing on that, to figuring out, to work on that. My accountant, I think you might have said it too, but now I'm working on the small rocks. I've got a lot of the big rocks are gone. Those are the easy, we've got that now. It's really now is to getting in and spending the day on and finding the small rocks. But really, it's not 10, 12 hours. I do that in the morning. I've learned that I do my best work in the morning, get done by 10 or 11 o'clock. By the afternoon, I'm out doing whatever else I want to do as far as just in the community, or I'm a big bowler. So I spend a lot of time in the bowling center and traveling and doing tournaments and stuff as that. And really just making sure that the team's got what they have and they need. And that's what I enjoy doing. And then I can go into the restaurant, and I'm learning not to look at all the stuff. And with some help and training, you've helped me kind of deal with that when I see stuff that's out of place. Now it doesn't consume me like it used to. It doesn't send me off. It just allows me, it's like, hey, it's kind of like Ryan said too. I mean, they're not going to do it 100% of the time. And I think they're still going to our core values. Yes, are things going to be missed? Yes, I miss things too. So really, it's just that mindset and that shift. And I'm going to live longer because of it. I really believe that I'm going to live longer. I'm able to take care of myself and do the right things for myself health-wise to be able to live longer. Obviously, I just turned 60 on Sunday, so mortality is a little bit more important. It's like I want to stay around for a while.
Does your business run better with you in it day to day, or without you being there day to day? What runs better?
It runs better without me being in there day to day.
That's crazy, isn't it? It hurts.
It really does. It's crazy.
So
it's
hurtful.
Absolutely crazy.
How could they do better with
people that are
right?
developing? Yeah, it is. I love it. I mean, it's absolutely in the friendships and the business associations and everything else that I've gotten just in itself in being part of this group. And I know we're coming up, but I thank you for letting me be a part of this and share my story, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. So Ryan James, what is life like for you? What was it like working 7 days a week or 385 days in a row, surviving COVID? And now what's life like for you? Because I know you surf every morning.
I do. And it's funny to piggyback on what Brian said. It's like, I look forward to coming in the restaurant and being in the way. It's my favorite thing, right? They come in and they're like, what are you doing? Get out of here. We don't need you. You just don't move fast enough anymore. So get out of the way. I love it. I love it. It's like, I feel like my job is done, right? When I'm in the way, they're like, stop bagging chips, just go, do something else. So it's fantastic. So that's what I do. I get in the way a lot right now, right? Because, it's my baby, and, my restaurants are my baby. So I want to see them, and I want to come in. So I'm in here pretty much every day, unless I have something going on where I have a family event, or I have, something going on out of town. But I take off whatever I want. Nobody needs any notice. I'll tell Jeremy, my operations manager and implementer, hey, I'm out of town these 2 days. Next week, is there anything you need? But other than that, I surf every morning. I practice happiness between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. daily. And when there's not waves, I paddle a paddle board, and when there are waves, I paddle right into the waves, and it's fun. So I do that. I come in, I look around, I check all the locations, and then I start working strategically and financially. I feel, after your coaching, that nothing's more important than our numbers and our marketing, right? My goal is to run a marketing company that sells food. So I'm transitioning to that mindset, right? And I'm trying to work on our marketing, how to grow our numbers, and then also how to watch our numbers, right? Labor discrepancy report is huge. I look at that a lot. I work strategically. Your labor discrepancy report, to run that weekly is great, because it helps you get in front of your numbers before they get away. I mean, you say tick you owe. Labor creep is a real thing. So
Yeah.
I pay attention to that. I pay attention to the other key performance indicators, right? I look at our reviews. I look for patterns to see if there's anything wrong. We had an issue where we got 2 bad reviews because they forgot to put lettuce and pico de gallo on the taco salad. So now I've got some training to do today, right? So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to train and put some signs up to remind the staff to open the boxes and look before they give it to the customer, right? And I look forward to that stuff. But if I didn't do that today, Jeremy would do it, no problem. I just have to ask him. And that's what I do. And I'm a chef. You can't keep me out of the kitchen. So I spend a lot of days, a couple hours in my commissary kitchen, tasting everything, checking the deliveries to make sure I got the right products and they're the right quality, making sure that they didn't send us the wrong tomatoes, things like that. I come in, I do that. And the most important thing I do is I run support for my managers. I go to them and say, what are your struggles? What's keeping you up at night, and how can I help? And I do that a lot as well, because they are the backbone. They're the spine. They're the central nervous system. They keep these places running and keep money in my pocket and keep me leading the lifestyle that I want to live. So I got to make sure they're happy.
So let me just ask all 3 of you 2 very quick questions, and it's a yes/no answer. I'll start with you, Ryan. Ryan, do you feel like your managers can run the business without you being there, and you've got the right systems in place that it's happening? Yes or no?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you making more money, and dare I say life-changing money, making the shift, having others run your business as a side benefit to changing your life? Yes or no?
Yes. I will say COVID put me over $1 million in debt. And now, thanks to you and the systems, I have a path to get out of that debt.
Brian Mueller, do you feel like your restaurant runs better with systems in place and managers that you don't have to be there? Yes or no?
Absolutely, yes.
Are you making more money you made before with all the full management team in place? In fact, maybe even life-changing money? Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Avery Ward, is your business running better with managers, without you being in day-to-day, with systems in place? Yes or no?
100%. Yes.
Are you making more money you've made before, life-changing money? Yes or no?
A lot more.
What would you share with people as your advice as they listen to us about the journey of putting systems in place, having an implementer, having a life, restaurant prosperity? What would you want to share with people that maybe we didn't talk about?
I up first.
No, let's go with Avery. Avery first.
I would just say take action. There's a lot of restaurant owners are like crawlers. They crawl around information. We constantly look at information. If you have the right mindset of wanting to make a change, you look in all these places. But it just takes one day and one thing to go, okay, I'm done. I got to do something and go forward with it. And, there was that for me. I mean, I crawled your YouTube channel for weeks and watched damn near every video in like 2 weeks. I mean, I consumed some information. I mean, every second of my day, every drive, folding laundry, in the shower, it would play on my HomePod in the bathroom, and it would just be so loud. Somebody would be across the house, like, "What the hell are you doing?" But yeah, I mean, just taking action and being able to realize that sometimes a lot of people hear the word coach or they hear program or taking on something like that, and they find it as a negative. My dad was very much so, like, almost like it was like a bad thing to have to hire a coach or somebody outside. And he's very old school, but it's what you don't know, and getting the information you do need to know to make your life better is definitely the advice I would have. Is just go forward with getting the information you need. And it's not an expensive program, but as it's not a cheap program, but as David would tell you, that during the call, I don't even think I hesitated. When you told me the price, I just said yes.
I appreciate that.
Just
Brian Mueller, what piece of advice would you give people that maybe we didn't talk about or you'd like to share?
First off, you're already doing something that you love doing. And if you're in the restaurant hospitality business, you're already doing something you already love to do. You're already working hard and doing everything that you can to take care of people. I would recommend any of this program, whatever you can afford to get into it to start with, to do it, because it literally will change the way that you work and the way that you see it, without a doubt. And David speaks from sincerity. He is somebody that he loves on you but holds you accountable, and he just encourages you to do the work. And I'm telling you right now, I am so grateful and indebted. I told him 2 years ago, he's stuck with me forever. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm going to hang around, and there's always going to be something new that I can learn. And there's also other people that I can help and hopefully encourage in some way, shape, or form. And I'm just really humbled to be a part of this group and being asked to do this part. I mean, and guys, just give a listen. If you're on the outside, maybe you've been following David for a little bit and just kind of poking in and around and different things. Get on a discovery call, let him talk to you, and y'all decide whether it's the right program or whether it's not a right fit for you.
So Ryan, let's start off with, what is life? What are the changes or things that you want to share with people that maybe I didn't bring up?
I mean, one thing I would say is that your mindset is very important, right? You need to have a growth mindset in order to achieve prosperity and progress in your restaurant and in your business. If you want to scale, if you want more free time, if you want to do what you love, you have to have a growth mindset. A fixed mindset individual will blame everybody else for the things that are wrong in their business, where a growth mindset individual would say, maybe there's something that I could be doing better, and I want to start there to get change. So you have to have a growth mindset. You need to do it. You have to stop blaming and start owning what's going on. I read a book, Extreme Ownership, by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, and that kind of opened me up to it. And then talking to you, that kind of compounded that belief. So a growth mindset is everything. If you don't have a growth mindset, you're never going to get what you want. You're not going to. And then second thing is personal time. I mean, nothing happens in my world until I get 7 hours of sleep and I get some exercise, right? So I go to bed early, I get up early, I get that done, and then I go about my day. So you have to take care of yourself physically. You have to get enough sleep, and you have to get exercise, and you have to eat healthy here and there. I'm not saying every meal, because we're chefs, I told my wife, if we make tortillas, I'm never going to have abs again. And she was okay with that. But you have to have that balance, right? You have to stay healthy, because if not, you're not going to, like Brian said, you're not going to be around long enough to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So mindset and health, definitely take those into consideration.
If you listen to the three of their stories, their life is easier. While you're worried about, oh my gosh, inflation is about to crush me and I can't find people, they fully staffed. They're making money. They have a full management team in place. They have a life during the same time that you're going through these same struggles. And it's really up to you, whether it's Ryan has brought up its mindset, whether it's Avery finding that one thing that makes a change, whether it's Brian saying it's committing to the change, that you know the way you've done things have got to change. It's up to you. So at this point in time, I want to thank the three of you very much for taking the time to do this for me and with me today. I cannot thank you enough. And I hope everybody enjoyed this, got something from it. And I hope Ryan hears from you. Go out there, everybody, kick some ass. Thank you very much.